right off the bat, what we did when we decided to go into the bike industry was take a good hard look at some of our snow product. And
Hi.
as we were developing this product right here, the forefront helmet, and decide which ones we could actually modify that would be nice fitting, really good application bike helmets. So we're actually coming out with 3 bike helmets. We've got the Holt at $50, which is just a solid, good price point helmet with a couple of upgrades from a typical $50 bicycle helmet. Rather than using a die-cut chintzy skate-style pads, we're actually using bike-style pads and different thicknesses of foam in the back, so that we've got a considerably better fit right off the bat. But for the most part, it's a good, solid skate-style lid that goes out, comes right out there. Our Maze is one of our lightest snow helmets, and what we did was actually remold this in different densities to be able to do extremely well in the CPSC and the European bike tests. And then the same type of thing. We've gone to a very technical wicking fabric, fully heat-sealed liner, and we use our elastic fit system in the back. This guy right here weighs about 280 grams, and is just a fabulous all-around urban park helmet, $80. And you guys can try this on, actually. It's pretty impressive just how well it fits, how comfortable it is. It's just a great all-around helmet. Leading up to this guy right here, the forefront helmet is, we started this project legitimately about 14, 16 months ago, when we discovered the Koroyd material, and we had done a bunch of impact testing on a whole slew of alternate impact materials other than EPS. Bike helmets have been made out of EPS since the last 30 years, basically, and that's been the sole impact material that we've had to deal with. So us and every other company has been playing around with alternative materials to try to develop something for what's to come standards. Basically, try to make either a lighter helmet, a more airy helmet, a better performing helmet, or a safer helmet. Going forward. We settled on Koroyd after doing a whole bunch of in-house testing, and came to the conclusion that on most of the types of impacts that helmets receive, the Koroyd was averaging anywhere from 25 to 30 and even a little bit better impact absorption than EPS. It has different qualities than EPS though, so we didn't want to build an entire helmet out of this honeycomb material. And so we came up with essentially a hybrid design of Koroyd and EPS, which gives us kind of a design tool to be able to do a lot more things that you can do with EPS alone. You can kind of think of this as like dual density. Dual density EPS has been around for a little while now, and it gives you another tool to be able to adjust the helmet, to pass all the standards, to make a safer helmet in the areas, because different impacts are different on any geometry of helmet. We think this gives us a lot better tool because we have a material that's lighter. We have a material that is superior in impact absorption on most styles of hits, and the material itself breathes. So we could go to a very open, venti design, put this in an EPS space frame, if you will, and tick off a whole bunch of boxes all at once. We get a very high performance helmet that's breathes extremely well. We get an extremely lightweight helmet, and then we're working within a bunch of safety factors that are much easier to design for. If we're trying to design a geometry that is fully safe, it's a lot easier to do this with this type of design than it is with EPS alone. I can change the shape of these panels. I can place them in different places around here. I can change the density of the panels. I can change the diameter of the little tubes, right? So we've got all these cool design tools to be able to work with. And that was really interesting for us, and that's why we kicked off this project. We think there's some real benefits. We're seeing the very first brush of this, and we're going to be heavily invested in and working with this material a lot. So right off the bat, that is the forefront helmet right there, you know, in of itself. But the Koroyd EPS construction is an integration of Koroyd and EPS. We think it's a better way to build a helmet. We think it's more tunable for multiple styles of impact. We think we can eventually build, hopefully, a safer helmet, even though none of us helmet companies get to say our helmets are safer or less safe or anything like that, just because we all pass the same standard, right? So we like it. This guy is coming out right now. We just got our first kind of passing samples, so we'll have rideable samples at Interbike that are passing the current CPSC standard, so it's legal for us to let people try these things out. And they're coming in right at 295 grams. So not ridiculously road ultralight. You know, a very ultralight road helmet would be down there in the 200 gram range. But for a fully featured trail riding helmet, which was our target, and we believe, you know, that is most representative of Smith, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 25% lighter than most of the competing product out there right now. So we're real happy, obviously, with that result. When I say fully featured, we can kind of walk around the helm a little bit. Right off the bat, we're starting out with a removable and adjustable visor. And we're doing things a little bit differently here. This is just a simple plug in and plug out visor. And I've got a couple here that actually kind of work well, but we've got a detented up and down position. We're not trying to end up with a variable position visor. You either want it out of the way or you want it down, period. Simple detent, up or down. And it's really effective. All the engineering that we've done has kind of played out nicely, and it's working really well. The other thing that we developed for this helmet, and this was, call it kind of a pet peeve of mine, that fit systems were kind of under-designed. There's a lot of fit systems that don't work very well with eyewear. There's a lot of fit systems that are just plain uncomfortable, depending on the size, on the shape of your head. A lot of people have more round heads. A lot of people have more oval heads. We designed a fit system to be as, you know, a standard ratcheting wheel size, one-handed adjustment, since we believe that's really kind of the best design out there. You just don't want to mess around, tighty, you know, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. But we designed an entire cradle that is engineered to be elastic. So this little guy can stretch up and down. These arms can stretch lengthwise because of their engineered shape. We're also using a different material here rather than some of the standard plastics that are out there. We're using DuPont Hytrel, which is actually an elastomer. And it's a really rigid, really strong elastomer, but it can cycle through a bunch of cycles really well. It's a great little resin that we use for that. So the other thing that we've done on the fit system, and the fit system is called the Vapor Fit system, is we've used our hydrophobic Goggle TPU that we use in a lot of our sunglasses to, you get it wet, it's actually a little bit stickier. We use this on our sunglasses all over the place, our temple arms and nose pads, and have a lot of experience with it. So we did ribbed little contact pads in Goggle, hydrophobic Goggle. And the whole idea there, again, is you've got an elastic fit system, you've got a dial fit system. Most fit systems you can crank until you're really uncomfortable, right? You can go headache tight. And this one is no different. You can go headache tight on this if you want. But because of the elasticity and because of the rubber pads, you don't have to go tight. You know, it's a couple little turns, and these arms are going to stretch out, those pads are going to contact, the helmet's not going to move. And it's not going to give you a brain headache down the road. Kind of a new and interesting take. We tried, I think we're up to about 25 different fit pad geometry designs, and ended up with a little bit unique of a fit pad design. We're using ecstatic material, which is an antimicrobial, kind of non-skank material for the for the fit pads. We've used this in our snow line forever. We've got a lot of good experience with it. It's got a nice soft hand. This was the best geometry that we tried on multiple different heads. A lot of study there. So you guys can actually be able to try these on, see what you think of the fit. We think that we've landed with the head form that we've used in snow year after year after year, this fit pad and the VaporFit system, we think we're going to fit more heads. We have a lot of science to kind of prove that out, but so far we've tried a bunch of different head styles, Asian, Caucasian, different head styles, and we're fitting very nicely. And a lot of that's due to the elasticity and the head form shape itself. Couple little items here. This guy is going to come. I have one with cap on top. Let me just borrow that. Out of the box, the helmet will come with a little cap here that hides a little hole in the top of the helmet. That's an aluminum nut buried in there. Available separately will be a universal mount that is designed to be breakaway. There's a lot of ASTM standards and ASTM studies right now that are looking at breakaway standards of components on helmets. GoPro cameras, lights, whatever, you hit a limb, we don't want to remove people's heads, choke them, right? So we've designed a universal GoPro mount that fits on the top of the helmet and one single little bolt here, a little adhesive patch here, and it's designed to slip back and break away, right? Your GoPro will slot directly in there. You just literally take your GoPro out of the box, slap it in there, you got your camera on there. This will come as a package. It'll have 2 items in it. The second item is an arm that extends forward that basically puts a handlebar-shaped tube on the front of the helmet as far forward as we could get it, and that's for light usage. So we're trying to be as universal light usage as possible. We worked with the Light and Motion guys, really good group of people, to define that as well as we could. We went to the experts on it, essentially. So that's that. And that's an orange one. Other things. Right off the bat, this is North America distribution for the first year. So it is a CPSC certified helmet. Obviously, that's mandatory. But this thing will come out of the blocks as CPSC and EN 1078, which is the European standard compliant, right out of the blocks. So all of our testing has shown that we're passing these standards nice and easily. All of what we thought has been proven out, i.e. being able to use 2 impact materials, get a good breathable helmet, and use the Koroyd material has worked extremely well. Anything else that I'm missing, Cassie?
I think the other thing to note is just the integration with eyewear.
Right.
It has for sunglasses that they integrate really well as with goggles.
Right off the bat, and this is a funny story, because right off the bat we were challenged. We can't put anything through our vents. So we can't supply eyewear storage like any other helmet does, because our vents are actually impact material, which is a very cool thing. It's very safe. But what we did is, find the next best thing, and you can see we've got a little carbon strut here on the side. That essentially ties some internal skeletal structure together that holds everything together. This allows the Koroyd to work. But we've got temple arms built in to our little carbon strut right there, and it actually holds it nice and securely there.
That's cool.
Okay. The other thing we did was design the helmet so that we would have an outboard position of the straps. We're trying to get the straps slightly away from the face. We still have to triangulate correctly on the helmet. It still has to pass roll-off test and has to be stable on the head, but we tried to get that out and away from the helmet. We don't want people to have the option of putting their glasses over the straps. It's not an option with this helmet. These straps are sitting too far out. It'll be really silly looking if you try to put them over the straps, and it'll be difficult. You can do it, but it'll be more difficult. We're trying to encourage people Because if you put your sunglasses on under the helmet, we designed our arms so that there's no temple contact with most eyewear, most of our eyewear anyway. So you can literally put your sunglasses on or off without touching the helmet. And if you have your sunglasses on and you want to take your helmet off, you can, and your sunglasses don't go flying.
Do the straps flap though?
They're in initial testing, not bad, not bad. We do get a little bit of flap. All straps get flap, even flat on the
So you
face.
put your glasses on the outside. Straps. I mean, that's
This-
why we put the glasses over the straps, so it's not flap down.
Correct.
So-
And I've ridden it without both over and under, and haven't had any real good flap at all.
What are you doing on the closure of the neck? Any innovation there? Is standard?
Standard buckle. And the key to helmet design, and more importantly, just good, solid product liability and design, is to go to experts on buckles. So we use Nexus buckles exclusively across our entire snow line, and we will use Nexus buckles exclusively across our entire bike line as well. And Nexus has proven time and time again to have the best manufacturing consistency in buckles, and that's probably the most important thing. There's a number of different designs. We have gone to, thankfully, a very thin web strap, and Nexus did a very nice job of designing a curved buckle that's a lot more ergonomic. And this is basically just a standard at high-end helmets right now. You know, our goal with this helmet was to take every metric of the helmet and either match or beat the best in class on it. And that's down to every little detail. We also designed our own cam lock strap divider. You see it's just a Smith branded strap divider.
Okay.
And this is, again, that's the type of why the project took so long. Every single one of these components, we had to do best-in-class study of everything that was out there, a performance study of everything that was out there, and try to match it. You'll note that this strap divider is a little flat. It's actually a little wider than most of the cam lock strap dividers that are out there, and that's to minimize twist, which is one of my pet peeves. Hate it. Hate it.
That's why I like what Specialized does with the anchor, where you don't have the adjustment of the strap.
Correct. There's a couple different ways, and we actually researched a bunch of that. All of our early samples actually use sewn, single position, which, to be perfectly honest, is the lightest, cleanest, one of the nicest solutions, because you get good strap separation. You can surround the ear rather than try to V around the ear and end up down here. But everybody here, to a person, and everybody that we talked to, wanted user adjustability in the strap. The only way to do that, you can't do that with, Specialized Trifex is actually a really nice, comfortable solution. It does tend to make a little bit of wind flap on that particular helmet.
It's like a seagull on your face.
it can be bad on that one, and that was unintended,
That's why
I'm
you
sure.
wore that's why you
I
wore
personally think those guys did a great job on that.
Well, the problem
But-
with that is when you put the glasses over the strap, and the glasses fall down your nose.
Correct.
So you're stuck.
Right. So we've tried to get some user adjustability in this, just because there are so many. Again, we're going back to, we have a very time-tested head form that we've used in the snow industries forever, and it's proven to fit an amazing percentage of the population. But is it perfect for everyone? Absolutely not. I can't put that on a standard Asian head at all, right? The Asian head form is a very different animal than the Caucasian head form, and European head form is very different than the Western American head form. So, what we're trying to do is fit as many people out of the box as possible. And the concept there was obviously the fit system, the head form, strap dividers need to be user adjustable. So,
One more question, I'll stop grilling you. Is when I first posted on this, my readers, the first thing they want to know is why didn't you go with MIPS? I didn't have a response. What is your?
we try to design. I'll try to give you a short answer of the short version of this answer, because there's a lot of long ones.
And before you do that, what MIPS is an industry
rotate-
standard to. You go ahead. Yeah.
It's a rotational injury product.
Right, to keep it centered on your head.
Correct, correct. We actually believe that the MIPS studies are valid. We believe that rotational injuries are valid. We try to design for essentially 4 different categories of injuries, if you will, or 4 different design parameters. One is high velocity impact. High velocity impact is what you pass when you pass the CPST standard.
Right.
You only test for high velocity impacts. We try to engineer and design for low velocity impacts. The future of helmet design, we believe, will be future standards will start to accommodate low velocity impacts. Low velocity impacts are what's being most studied right now in football. When you hear a lot of the talk about football injuries, most of those are low velocity impacts. They're not the type of high velocity impacts that we are forced to design for because those are the standards. The other one is multiple impact, and the other one is rotational impact, right? I give credit where credit's due. I think the MIPS guys did a fabulous job of increasing the brain share, basically, of rotational impact, making it a thing, right? It's not a new thing. Rotational impact has been accommodated for in helmet design for years. We've never had a standard to test to. The MIPS guys developed a standard, which was probably the best thing that could have happened, right? But it's a private standard. It's not a CE standard. It's not a CE standard. It's not an ASTM standard. It's not a CPSE standard. It's not controlled by a third party or governmental agency, right? So because of that, and we're in talks with the MIPS guys all the time because we would like to try to integrate either MIPS products or MIPS technology in our helmets. We also believe that there are a number of ways to do that. MIPS is a low frictional rotating layer, right? Any helmet that uses a well-designed cradle system, think of your standard hard hat, has rotational impact attenuation.
Yeah.
So you can do it via low frictional layers. You can do it via with elasticity. You can do it a number of different ways. So we're studying kind of all those, in addition to talking to the MIPS folks very closely, and we've been talking to them for. I apologize. We've been talking to them for about 3 years now, actually, and we haven't found the right product. Bike industry, we believe it's a lot more valid than in the snow industry. So we're definitely looking at that going forward. Are we coming out of the blocks of it right now in 2014? No. No. Though we may have a slightly different story for you come delivery of this helmet. As far as design for rotational impact, right?
Yeah.
And that
Which
may
is a real
be,
question, right?
yeah. We really like the MIPS guys. Those guys have done a bunch of great work. But unfortunately, it's a private company standard. And that's just how it's arranged, so it makes it a little thorny. Couple other things that, just so you guys kind of understand, we've done a few interesting things. You can see that there's no Koroyd in these 3 front vents here. But you can also see that if you look through those front vents, you can see the fit pads behind them, and that's intentional. Air can come through those vents and come in, but usually with these types of vents, they end up being what I like to call a cave, basically just a dead end, right? There's no potential for any kind of flow there. So what we're trying to do, and to be perfectly honest, it seems to work so far in most of the tests that I've done, but we're trying to do as good a job as possible of drying out our brow pads as quickly as possible. The problem with brow pads, one of my pet peeves, especially mountain biking here, because we climb for an hour, descend for 20 minutes around here, and it's hot,
Right.
is when your fit pad fills up with sweat, where's it going to go? Well, right into your glasses, and that's one of our pet peeves. So we're trying to ameliorate that issue a little bit. We don't know really how much airflow is going to be, but it's actually, we've done a bunch of testing by just kind of hanging our fit pads out. As soon as you get this thing out in the environment, your fit pads dry out a lot more quickly. So, it's another little guy there. Oh, goggle integration. Sorry, my bad. The helmet will come in the box, and I don't believe. Black one right here?
Right here?
Does it have? It doesn't
Goggle
have
clip.
it. It doesn't have the goggle clip on it. I apologize, I can't show you this right now. But coming in the box in the helmet, we designed it. We've been designing, and can be. I don't think it's a false statement to say that basically Smith kind of invented goggle helmet integration in the snow industry. I think that's a reasonably accurate statement. Or we were the ones that kind of did it first, then everybody else jumped on board. When we design a helmet in CAD, in computer-aided design, we start with goggles automatically. So we've got all of our goggles loaded in the box. We got all of our helmets loaded in the box. We can check to see what the fit up is like. We're trying to integrate as much as possible. This helmet is fully goggle compatible right off of the block, and it uses our AirVac system. So these little vents right here and this channel are designed to kind of line up with our moto goggles so that the goggle can breathe more effectively. Basically, goggles are just little terrariums that just produce hot, moist air that fogs goggles. So as long as you open the top of that goggle up and allow some airflow out of there, that goggle is going to perform a whole lot better. By doing that, you can actually kind of bring this brim area down right on the goggle, get a good, clean, cosmetic fit, and something that's really stable. What we're delivering in the box on this helmet is a little clip-on and adhesive two-part goggle strap retainer, so that.
I don't think it's not this one.
No, it looks a lot like that, though.
It's the one on our snow helmet.
This is. We have to be honest with ourselves. This is 5% of the population that's using this helmet is going to use it with goggles. I don't know if any of you guys have ever used goggles when descending. It's pretty awesome. It just quiets everything.
There's no dust in your
There's
eyes.
no dust in your eyes. It's a really interesting experience, and it's fun. You should try it if you haven't. So we're delivering a goggle strap retainer. That'll be an elastic retainer like this, and we're fully designed for goggles in the front of the helmet as well.
Here, put them on.
I wonder if I can wear this one.
And the 290 is without the GoPro attachment?
220.
The 220?
Yeah.
220, right. The goggle strap attachment will come in the box. That's included. The GoPro and.
With the weight?
Oh, the weight. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, the weight is without the goggle strap retainer. Though the thing is, it's teeny. It weighs like 10 grams. There we go. It's admittedly dorky looking the first time you try it, but I have to tell you.
I went snow biking with your Recons.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Really?
Yeah, it was awesome, actually. It was awesome.
I remember that.
Just try it once. To get to the top of a climb, take a pair of goggles out of your pack, and try descending with it. I guarantee you will be nicely surprised. It's a really cool experience.
How you climb with them on.
Yeah.
It gets real hot.
Climbing with
When
them.
you put them on your backpack.
We're definitely going to have the best integration of goggle and helmet in the bike industry. I mean, I don't have too many questions about that, but climbing with them in 80-degree heat is probably not going to be my thing. So, anything you guys want to add?
I think that covered it for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, does anyone have any questions?
I don't
Do you
know if
guys-
I heard you talk about, how does that compare to like an open vent for just air in and out, getting in and out?
Really different. It's a really interesting sensation. You get air everywhere, and the reason is because the material is both worse and better in a lot of ways. When we get direct air coming in here, what happens is that each of these little tubes catch that air as it's going by and redirect it to your head. So you're going to get, even riding straight, you're going to get air coming here and be redirected to your head. So you get kind of an overall feel of cool on your head, but you don't feel as much flow. You do feel a considerable amount of flow up and under and out the back. There's no question about that, and it feels pretty traditional. But it's a the answer to that is to ride it. I mean, you really have to ride it, and especially the guys with buzz cuts and shaved heads are the
Yeah.
best.
Right.
They're the best for it because they come back and they
Too
go,
much going
whoa,
on here.
that was not what I was expecting. Because you get airflow all around your head, and it's going both directions. Koroyd is an interesting material. It's actually a German company that only makes the raw material. And then they partner with different industries, aerospace, safety and protection, which is the Koroyd company, refrigeration. This material is used in commercial refrigeration for something called laminar airflow. So when you see like open front freezers in grocery stores and stuff like that, how do they keep everything cold behind there? And it's a science called laminar airflow. So we haven't built our treasure chest of science to show how the helmet's going to affect. We've actually got a bunch of CAD studies that are going to be in process here really soon to show how the air flows through the helmet. And so we can kind of build our science behind that. But our initial guesses were correct. The airflow is different and certainly just as good, if not better. And I've gotten a few rides in this unsafely because it's been an uncertified product. But it's a really interesting sensation. My head stayed cool, is the bottom line. So we've got a lot of science building to do until we can actually show how that works, and we're in the process of doing this.
I mean, one of the things that Drew mentioned is the construction, as we refer to it as Aerocore, really allows us to place more vents throughout the helmet compared to a traditional helmet with only EPS that has to have a lot of closed areas to pass certain safety standards. So we're able to open up not only the front end of the helmet with vents up here, but also on the exhaust side of the helmet, where this is a very open helmet because of the use of Koroyd. Different from what else, other helmets that are out there that are very closed in, especially on an all-mountain helmet. A lot of the current all-mountain helmets are very closed in and very hot.
Because you have to. They have to pass a standard and they have to be safe. And we hit these things with 3 different shaped, nasty steel anvils in the testing lab. And if you've got this number and this size of vents in a traditional EPS design, it is not going to pass. It's just going to be, it's not going to have anywhere near the same safety factor. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, but I think most people are going to be pleasantly surprised at the airflow. We do believe that we're providing more airflow. Again, a lot of science building to do, and we've been busy developing helmet at a breakneck pace, but the proof is really in the pudding. I mean, you just go ride it, and it's a different, but it's a very cool and very ventilated helmet. And that's challenging to do in something that's kind of in a trail all-mountain category. There's just not a lot of holes in those types of helmets when you're going for that additional protection and trying to take those big hits.
So you're entering a crowded market.
Yes, we are.
Why? What are you doing to succeed? Are you targeting bike shops?
We're definitely, we're definitely targeting the IBD, and people have been trying to get us to do bike helmets forever.
To match the glasses, so it's because you have the brand recognition, people know who you are.
People love our snow helmets, and it's a no-brainer. Why don't you guys do bike helmets, right? And we have dragged our feet. We've been testing technologies. For Smith to come out with a Me Too would have just been a failure, in my opinion. We would have nailed the styling. Gorgeous.
Sure, yeah.
We always do, right? but we needed to bring a technology that was an honest-to-God improvement in ventilation, safety, performance, weight, whatever it is. And like I said, I probably tested about half a dozen alternative impact materials and came up with results, little teeny improvements here and there. When we first started testing this stuff, and we did it with guys that look like this. Anybody have my puff?
Yeah, it's over here.
Oh, sorry. This was many, many, many months of different studies, different vent sizes, different densities of material, different straw diameters, different everything, right? And we have a whole bunch of different shapes of these for different anvils and stuff like that. This is where we saw the real advantage. And you know, if we weren't going to do it, someone else was going to find this. We believe we found it, you know, early, kind of before everybody. It's an honest-to-God advantage. So entering a crowded market was kind of not really an issue.
In the IBDs now, so
Yeah.
I took a picture of that. Can I share that, or is that?
You can.
But it's a valid question, and it's one that you know, we had several dealers, several customers asking us since the introduction of our winter sport helmets years ago. When are you guys going to come out with a bicycle helmet? After seeing what we did in the winter sport helmet category, we're roughly number 2, depending on the channel, that being internet, chain, or specialty, in winter sport helmets.
Depends on the country.
Number
One or
in-
two.
in goggles. So, you know, when we presented this, and we've had a few presentations with key accounts, buyers of certain specialty retailers, they more or less said, "Thank you. You know, you guys have addressed a demand, you know, from customers coming in our shop, going, when is Smith going to make a bicycle helmet?" It not only makes sense from, you know, our history within winter sport helmets, but also as Drew and as you commented on as well, the integration with our eyewear, not only within goggles, but especially with sunglasses. So as we're in the IBD channel with eyewear currently and building in that channel, we now have that integration between eyewear and helmet, which is something that absolutely set us apart in winter sport helmets.
Awesome.
One question I have.
It's a
is-
different product.
Might be an odd question, but the 5 most frequently asked questions on helmets, since you guys are in that space, and then the 5 most frequently should be asked questions from consumers. So I just want the consumer to hear the questions that they mostly ask, and then what they should be asking when they're looking for a helmet.
That's a good question. I don't know if I have an answer. What are the 5 most commonly asked
Those
questions?
3 then.
I can tell you what they
are
should
the-
ask.
Give me 5 things that when my people read the blog that they should say, you know, when they go looking for a helmet, that they should be asking
I
themselves.
think you can cover sizing. You know, we have a specific mold to each size. A lot of helmet brands will have pad kits to fit and accommodate, you know, whether it's a small, medium, large, or extra large. But we have a specific mold for each size, so that's really important. Not only, you know,
Which affects comfort, obviously.
comfort and certainly
Yeah.
safety.
And
So
that-
our 3 sizes with our fit system as well is really going to provide that not only comfortable fit but that safe fit as well.
Correct, and that's categorized as something that people don't ask, but
So that's one.
experience,
Okay.
Yeah.
right? So showroom fit, right? People put helmets on in the store, and they decide which one to get based on the fit. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. They should be asking, my head is like this. My head is a size. What is going to fit me best, right? And then continue to try those on, because a safe helmet
Just
is
like you get a bike fit to you, you
correct.
should get your helmet fit specifically for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. The
Okay.
safest helmet is the best fit helmet,
Okay,
right?
so we got 2.
So, you know, one of the questions they most commonly ask is, what color does it come in? And
Well, we gotta
should
look
they
at-
ask that? I guess so. We have 10 of them. But, you know, it's not a performance feature. But, again, what I believe they should be asking is how is it going to make my experience better, right? Does it breathe better? Is it lighter on my head? You know, is it comfortable to wear over long periods of time? Those are the type of questions I would like to see consumers asking, because, you know, at the end of the day, the thing not only has to protect you, but it has to make your bike ride better somehow, right? You know, or at least not get in the way, right? So I think that's all I can really think of. But
I like the fact the eyewear type of thing that you brought out, because I mean, that's number 3, right?
yeah, that's
Thing
number
you're gonna go
3.
with the helmet,
That's
make
number
sure-
3, and people don't ask that. People find out later.
We had a lot of comments too. Hey, the temple of my sunglasses interferes with my helmet. Have you addressed that? And that's an absolute yes. You know, there's a lot of people complain when they put their sunglasses on and it interferes with the fit system or the straps, and that's the benefit of being not only an eyewear manufacturer first and foremost an eyewear company, but then, you know, a credible helmet company. Is we've learned a lot, you know, along the way, kind of the do's and the don'ts. So it absolutely integrates, as we mentioned before, not only, you know, with goggles on the top of the goggle and the brim of the helmet, but also with the temple length of sunglasses, especially ours. Drew mentioned when and where. When can I buy this helmet? It's going to be for sale to the public in March. Where? Your local IBD dealer. I mean, Smith definitely protects our distribution. You know, we're dedicated to the IBD network, and that's hopefully you can find this in every IBD dealer throughout North America in its first year.
Sorry, I can't think of any other top fives.
It's all good, I've got a bunch of answers in my head.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
people are starting to come in and ask about safety. I don't think they're loving the answers they get, but it's a good trend. It's a really good trend. So, you know, it warms my heart when people come in and say, "Do you have one of these MIPS helmets?" Because that means they're thinking about safety, right?
Absolutely.
You know, they also need to be thinking about, do you have one that is good for low velocity impacts, right? They don't know that, but those are good things.
So bad
Those are
weather
good things.
conditions, what's the best thing to cover the helmet with? Or is it, you know, like, so it's raining on you, pouring out there, you got all these vents on this helmet. Is there something you guys have got, or is there a best system there?
Not yet. But it's one of our planned projects. Absolutely. Not necessarily an aero cover, but just a foul weather.
So what do you guys think? Do you think we have something different, new, unique? Is it going to disrupt the helmet market as we know it now?
I'd like to take one home with me.
That's-
Yeah.